Hi there, it's Liz Yuille from Old Staples Crafts. Thank you for joining me again today. Some of you will know that I have a bit of an issue with my voice at the moment, which is part of the reason why I haven't been posting quite so regularly as I normally do. So apologies if I sound a little squeaky. Anyway, this is the project we are making today. I actually saw this as an idea from one of the other UK demos, and it's to take some candles and wrap them in a nice gift box. So I thought I would do my version of it. This is using the Merry Little Christmas Designer Series paper and the Swirly Snowflakes Thinlet dies. And I've got a little trick to show you, which I think you're going to enjoy. And actually, we'll start with that. Let's start with what are the measurements of this? So, the final box is 8 inches tall by 2.5 inches wide by 1 inch deep. So if you didn't have candles, you could use this for all sorts of things. A scarf would fit nicely in here, all sorts of bits and pieces. But these are 3 very inexpensive dining candles. 3 I think is quite a nice number. Quite often you have candles in 3s down a table. So yeah. But let me show you my trick first, because this you will like. So let me grab that, because that's already dirty. So this is our silver metallic edge ribbon. I'm just going to take a drink because my voice is going. It's a bit better. This is a blender pen. This is an old olive blender pen. It's the deep old olive. However, I'm going to grab another one as well. Let's bring in that. I'm going to bring in Bermuda Bay as well. And because this is white and because these are alcohol markers, you can dye your ribbon any colour you want. So if you want Bermuda Bay silver edge ribbon, and who wouldn't? Ta-da! Now, they do take a little while to dry, and when they are dry, they are a tiny bit stiff, but if you just rub it through your fingers, that helps soften them up again. But yeah, isn't that just fantastic? It really only works properly on the satin ribbon because the other ribbons absorb too much of the ink. But for the satin ribbons, so for this and the thin white ribbon, now what's the thin white ribbon called? I've only got it here in one of the other colours, but it will be called the same thing. Sheer. It's the sheer ribbon. So if you've got the sheer white ribbon, that would be beautiful. And dare I say, there's a new ribbon coming soon, which it's beautiful for as well. So any colour ribbon you now can have, so long as you've got a blend that is the colour you want it. So another reason for getting your blends. Anyway, Procrastination City as ever. Let's start. So these are the bits of card and paper that I need. I've had these in a box, so that's curling a bit. This is still the Merry Little Christmas paper. Old olive, because that's the colour. The original I did in black. So let me grab the scoreboard and pop it so that hopefully you can see most of it anyway. Because this is a box, I do all of my scoring down one side, so you will be able to see everything. Anyway, so on the base, now hold on, let's give you the measurements. So this is it's nearly 4.5 inches by nearly 10, and the reason I say nearly is because in order to get the base slightly smaller than the lid, so it's easier to put the lid on, I take about 1/16 of an inch off. So it's really 4 and that would be 8, 4 and 7/16 by 9 and 11/16. So, but I think 4.5 by 10, and then take 1/16 off on 2 of your sides. So then, because our side is 1 inch, we're just going to score all the way around at 1 inch. I apologise if the lighting is a bit weird. It's not a very good day today, and if I put my overhead lights on, it's even more weird. It then becomes almost too bright and just weird. Now for the lid, because I curl underneath, I say curl, I fold under, so you get a slightly thicker edge, which if you're using designer series paper, it just gives it a bit more body. So this I have cut at 6 inches by 11.5. So I've added on each of the 4 sides 3/4 of an inch. So on the dimensions I've added 1.5 inches, being 2 lots of 3/4 of an inch. And because I'm allowing a 3/4 inch fold under, I'm going to therefore score at 3/4 of an inch and 1 3/4 of an inch on all 4 sides. So it's not actually terribly complicated. And I have to say I've made some gift boxes to sell as gift boxes at my craft fairs, and I made a number of those, and it's just so easy to do. It doesn't strain your brain too much. Right, so because this is paper, I'm not going to burnish it too much. I'm just going to fold it with my hands. If you go too mad on paper, you can end up cracking it. It's not likely on our paper because it's good paper, but I do just like to be a little bit cautious. For the base, I will burnish with my bone folder, and for those of you who saw my Facebook Live, this is the lovely bone folder that my lovely team manager, team leader gifted to me, with my initial on the end, so nobody can nick it. Well, unless their name's Liz or Louise or Laura or, you know, something beginning with L. Right, as ever, classic box. I tend to fold my flaps into a long edge. It just seems to give everything a little bit more of a robustness, if that's a word. And as ever, I cut to the inside, or rather outside or inside, depending on, to the edge of the mountain, and then cut the mountain away. So I cut to the, and then just wedge that out as well. So to the side where I'm going to fold the flap, I cut that and then cut away, and then wedge, and then this side's cut towards to the side where the flap's going to go, cut away, wedge, and oops, wedge, cut to where it's going, and cut away, and that is that. So that's the base, which I will very quickly put together. Bit of fuse. Now, when I do actually, if I'm selling my boxes or selling my boxes with things in them, if I know I'm going to be in an outdoor environment. So the craft fair I did this last weekend was at a garden centre in their polytunnels, which obviously, because it's winter, weren't being used. So having put the fast fuse on, just line your edges up and stick. If I knew that I was going to be in that sort of environment selling, which is obviously what I was at the weekend, I would then use the glue, because it takes extremes of temperature better. And also, if you remember when I did my advent calendar, I glued that as well, because I'm looking at that as a traditional thing that's going to come out year on year, so it's going to be stored somewhere that's not necessarily terribly level in temperature. Now this time I've got some ivory candles, because I thought with the green that would be a nice contrast, and I'm just going to tie these together. This is what I mean by it's a bit stiffer. So if I run it through my fingers, it kind of softens it up a bit. It's never going to be quite as soft as it was before you coloured it, but it's still soft. And it's still very easy to tie knots with and all that stuff, or as easy as it ever is to tie knots and bows when you're on camera. So, right. Now obviously you could also use the gold edge, but you'd get a slightly muted green because it's on a cream base or vanilla base. So just bear that in mind. Scissors hiding under the fuse, and then just, can you actually see? Yes, you can see that. So we can pop those in our box and they fit beautifully. So that's the base. Now for the lid, I need my bigger, there they are, bigger scissors. Yes, you can see it. So I'm going to do the same thing, but obviously some of this is going to disappear. So I'm still going to cut and wedge out in exactly the same way as I did before. But this bit, which I don't need, I'm just going to wedge there. So, and again here, I'm just going to wedge that bit. So it's a, can you see? So I've wedged there and I've wedged there and I've wedged here. That is the only straight edge. Everything else is wedged. So straight, wedge, wedge. Can actually do this in one go. So you can wedge and wedge. So wedge. And we're not talking huge wedge, we're just talking a little bit wedge. I do like to do this one first, just so that I know I've got that straight. Then I'm happy to wedge. I don't know why, but for me that just feels more comfortable. I like to just get the thing that matters most done properly before I then wedge things out. And last one, wedge. So we've got that shape. But we basically put the whole thing together in exactly the same way. So, fast fuse, and then I just put it straight on there, but along the fold, so that we know we're going to get a good bit of stick there. In fact, that's not quite along the fold, no. I'm being dazzled by the stripes. And there. Oop. Just be careful when you do your check that because it's paper, not card, you do need to just be a little bit careful that you don't rip. So give it a bit of support, particularly there. Right, so that's that. Now, you could fold it together and then put the next lot of glue on, but I find it easier to glue now. So I'm just holding these bits up, or I say holding, encouraging them to be up, and then I'm going to put fast fuse on the flaps. Oop. Oop, oop. Don't just do that. Ah. Hurrah. And here. Okay, so that's glue where we need it. Now, you could, if you're being really, really clever at this point, if you're putting your ribbon round here, you can tuck your ribbon right in underneath, but because I'm going to be putting some die cuts on top, I'm not going to do that. But you can, if you're not putting the die cuts on, it is possible. So, line up your corners as you would normally, and then just attach as you would normally. So this bit is as normal, just be aware that you've got more sticky bits than generally. Right, so that's your basic box lid, and then all you do is fold in your flap. And I tend to do from the middle out, because then if there is a bit of a wibble, you're not going to end up with a crease in the middle. It will just even itself out. And there you are, beautifully finished lid. And that will sit very nicely, particularly if you tuck your bow in, over your box, because you took that 1/16 of an inch off the base. So that's a really nice snug fit without being too loose. Right, now on this one I used the Filigree Snowflake, and I just used it twice on a piece of 4-inch wide card. It takes quite a while because of all the bits, the little bits. Even with a brush it takes a while. Ditto this, not quite so long, but this is just this edge here. And again, it's a 6-inch long piece of card, because this is 2.5 plus an inch. So it's an inch, 3.5, 4.5, so 6 inches is more than sufficient. Is that what I mean? Yes, 4.5, and then you want a bit underneath. So that's what I've done with that, and I've also lost something. Don't you love it when these things happen? Okay, well that I can cut again. Did I put it in here? No. Okay. I did cut, but have now lost the tag. So we'll do that again. Probably threw it in the bin, knowing. Yes, indeed I did. So we don't have to cut it again. So this tag here cuts this tag here. And it even scores in the middle. Gives you your 2 little holes. And then I cut each of these snowflakes in silver foil. So that's how I did that cutting, but for the sake of speed I did it in advance. I would, for the Filigree Snowflake, I would highly recommend the precision base plate. Those of you who have known me for a while know that I don't often recommend the precision base plate, because it does rather kill your cutting boards, your cutting plates, which whilst they aren't expensive, it does rather kill them. So I'm just going to fold that along the score line. I did this in thick Whisper White because I had some scraps on my desk. Actually, I think it would be better in the thin, but it's what I had, so it's what I've used. Silicone matte, because I want to put some fast fuse on the back of each of these. Get rid of this little dot in the middle, just a little bit. Now you could use the adhesive sheets to do this, but I'm not too fussed to have sticky over all of it, so I didn't. I'm putting the larger one, let's make sure you can see, the larger one down first, with the cross going north and south, and then the smaller one I'm going to lay this over that cross. I found that that fitted best, and then you could, if you wanted to, put a rhinestone in the middle. And I've got somewhere, I had a piece of old olive baker's twine. Got my nice dyes dyed. Don't you love it when you prep and then things go walkabout? Okay, let's grab some more of that. It's one of those, I know I did it. It's going to annoy me now, but never mind. Right, so short piece of baker's twine, about that long, and with your bone folder just run that through. It takes the kinks that the card puts in out. Now some of the baker's twine now comes on a roll, so it's not an issue. And then feed this through the hole, which I should probably have done before I stuck the snowflake on. And that then gives you your loop, which I can tie in a knot. And just trim the ends. So we've got an unfuzzy end. And I don't need that. So that's for my bow. So actually let's do that first. So I'm doing my double bunny bow. So 2 bunny ears, and then just tie it in a half knot. And that gets you a really easy but nice bow that you can adjust without any problem at all. And that I'm just going to stick on with a glue dot when I get to that point. Yep, that's about the right size. And trim my ends. Get rid of those bits. Right, so with this piece, I am just going to run that onto my pre-die cut strip, and you can actually tuck the ends underneath. On the original I stuck them on with a glue dot, but then we only had filigree, whereas this is a thicker die cut, so we've got more to stick to. But what I am going to do is, once I've stuck that, is actually make sure that it's not too tight, which, because it's going round corners, you do have to allow a little bit extra. Gosh, we're running at 22 minutes, that's ridiculous. So yeah, and then I'm just going to trim that end so that it's not interfering with the fold. It's getting terribly dark. Yeah, that may be better. So that I'm then going to attach to this. Now I'm one of those OCD people, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want it there. So it's there, I want it. I want it there. So the reason I'm doing that is so that I can then do that, just so I've got something to hold it in place. I have pre-scored where the folds are going to be, because obviously I could line it up on the previous box, because they are the same size. And just hold that down. Oh, and I know what I should have done. Never mind. What I was going to do is loop that on. Can I? Yes! Loop that on. It's sad sometimes, isn't it? And there's a bit of a fold. I can see a fold in that ribbon, so I know that that should be about right. There we are. No, it's probably a bit... No, that's fine. Right. Don't you love that I just talk to myself? And then just a bit of fast fuse there. And in. Now, I did stick that on too tight. Bit of fast fuse on here. And fold that in. Then a glue dot. Got a nice new roll of glue dots. And piercing tool. Pop that in the middle. And on there. And then just press that from behind. That can then hide around there. And we've got our pretty box with its pretty adornment. So there you are, 2 really nice ways to dress up what are otherwise really inexpensive candles, and turn them into a really nice gift. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you did, give it a thumbs up. All the measurements as ever will be on the associated blog post, which is linked below, and it's immediately below in the description bar. If you want any of the products, do remember to pop over to my online store. Keep checking back for the online extravaganza deals. They are going to be changing as the week goes on, as I understand it. And certainly on the Monday, not this coming Monday, there's going to be the 24-hour flash sale. So keep an eye open for that. If you don't subscribe already, please do hit the subscribe button down there. And also subscribe to my blog. Top right hand corner of the desktop version of my blog, you'll see there's a subscribe by email box. So if you look at that, if you fill that in and do all the security I'm not a robot stuff, you'll then get an alert when I post. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that, and I will see you again very soon. Thanks a lot.